This is our Northern Forum event that we're running. It's the first one. We're hoping that it may be an annual event after this. But it's a great event for collaboration and for people just to come together and share ideas. We've got people from the police coming, we've got local authorities, a number of different partners, and some of our sponsors that are here that support the PPMA.
It's very different from our normal regional events in that we've been looking at a very interactive way of working. It's very practical, organised around themes that are very important to the HR and OD community at the moment. So for example, from 21st century public servant right the way through to collaboration. Collaboration is essential if we are going to be able to work across different public sector organisations. When we are collaborating with colleagues in different organisations, we have very different structures. So sometimes that automatically works against collaboration, but we have got to find a way to overcome some of those structural barriers, and they're not always structural barriers. That, you know, we just get used to ways of working, and we have to think about using collaboration techniques together with important pieces of work like 21st century public servant to think about, can we maximise the outcomes for service users? And whatever we can do to achieve that is the priority of HR and OD professionals and actually leaders right the way across public services.
I think it's about meaningful engagement and finding those councils who you can genuinely learn from and who you think you can apply things from in your own organisation. I don't think any council's the same, but there are groups of councils that are the same, and I don't mean by that the nature of the sector, like district versus city. It's more about the leadership culture, the ambition, and you know, the degree of challenge that you need and the pace you need to move at.
Collaboration was a really important part of the journey that we've been on. So for example, when we recognised that we were not LGBT friendly, we collaborated with Stonewall to understand what good practice looked like, to understand what we needed to do differently to attract LGBT staff to our organisation, but also to create a safe environment where existing staff felt able to come out and to be themselves at work. So we went from 1 person and 80 staff to 21% of our staff now saying that they're LGBT.
And we're looking at a position where nearly half the council's budget will be spent on adult social care by the end of the decade. A lot of that work is going to be with partners in the health service and partners out in the community and getting that mobile, flexible workforce that understands each other's culture, that can get things done in that environment, is going to be so important to the way we look after older people and the way we make sure people are safe, well cared for and have control over their own lives. That's got to be so important.
We share very proactively the stuff that we're doing, but we also go to the people who we think are better than us at diversity, and we get the best from the best so that we can improve too.
We've tried to change from services that are aimed at people to wrap those services around individual people, make them person-centred. And so on children's services, we've changed from thresholds to helping every child in the city that we can, but making sure that we do that on the terms of the family and the child. We have things called family group conferences that have reduced the number of kids in care in our area. On the adult and health side, we have a strengths-based approach where we talk to people about what the assets are in their communities rather than which particular service we might be able to afford to give them. And on housing, we've totally transformed the way we support people so that we have no one staying in bed and breakfast now.
Squads are, I think, an alternative to what we're seeing in teamwork in the working world, where teamwork in itself is creating a bit more friction than I think it was designed to do. So Squads has been made famous by Spotify as a technology company, and I think what it does is it seeks to create more autonomy in the way people do their work, but still collectively pushing towards a common achieved goal. So I think the technology world has given us a lesson here on how you deconstruct teams, but you reconstruct squads, not just in name, but in mindset and energy.
I've been talking to people around the conference about collaboration, and the main thing is we need to do things differently. All the challenges ahead and all the pressures ahead that I think hearing from all the speakers, you know, that's not going to change. So we need to think about how we are going to work effectively and safely and keep ourselves well in this complex world and the pace of change we've got, and help our teams to do that as well. So hopefully now people have experienced it here, they'll be able to take that back to their organisations.
At Jobs Go Public, obviously we've got a long history with the PPMA, a wonderful organisation, and it's great that they get the opportunity to bring people together so they can collaborate and discuss what's going on at each one of their organisations.
I think the fact that the event is outside of London and in the regions has actually been really good, because people feel that there's a local presence here. They're talking to colleagues that they know well, they've worked together, lots of people have worked in other organisations with each other, so they know each other really well. And I think they like the fact that it feels local and they haven't had to travel.
I found the event really energising. It's been very challenging, and I've learned a lot of innovative concepts, and it's challenged me to think differently and consider new ideas.
The sponsors have done a really good job, I think, to make it relevant to people, to try and find new things that people can think about, and to give some reassurance to people about, we're not alone in trying to solve these things.
Really interesting, really informative. Came back and actually said to a colleague, I'm all inspired again. So yeah, really great session. Different inputs from different people, and love the concept of squads. So yeah, loads learned, absolutely loads.
It's great to sort of share experiences, share knowledge with other people and get that engagement.
Really good to be back in the north. Long time since we had an event like this. Caught up with lots of people that I haven't seen for a long time, met some new people.
I think the conversation regarding the characteristics of a 21st century public servant was really, really good. And the different elements of collaboration between payers and crowds and squads, it was really, really interesting. Give a different perspective and some insight into things that you could do to actually help collaboration, and very, very simple stuff.
Lots of choice in terms of speakers, but yeah, really useful. I'm actually the regional chair in the East of England for the PPMA, so I'm here to kind of pick up tips on what I can take back down towards East Anglia.
I'd definitely come to the Northern HR Summit again next year. I think it's a really good value event in every sense of the word. I don't just mean in terms of money, but in terms of investing 24 hours of my time in some learning, development and networking. I think you can't beat it.
This event was particularly important for us as a run into our national conference, which is going to be held in Newcastle Gateshead next year, 19th and the 20th of April. So to see the degree of enthusiasm for the events that we've run, for the speakers, the quality of the speakers that we've had, just signifies to both PPMA members but also colleagues and friends in other bodies like HPMA and universities HR. It sets up a really exciting conference for next year.